Yeah, normally Joy reminded me or Keith reminded me, and I would have forgotten that. Okay. So welcome to the February 2022 Teams meeting. I forgot to start the recording, so we missed about the first couple of minutes. So we're just reviewing and looking back at the numbers over the last 2 years and the growth that we've seen in Texas at the state agencies as well as the city of Austin in use of Teams. Yeah, no problem, Keith. It takes a community to remember these kinds of things, and so. I really also want to thank we did some sessions called Stories from the Field. And what I like to do is bring in customers to talk about how they're using Teams. And so this year, and if I have forgotten anybody, I apologize. I came back from vacation very late last night. I got home at about 12:30 a.m. And so it was a little bit of a scramble to get everything put together today. But we had just most recently Tiffany Krusbauer with the Texas Department of Transportation come on and talk to us about how they were using Teams and really some of the ways that you can use Teams to interact and collaborate both at the same time as well as asynchronously. And so what I mean by asynchronously is one person's working and then another person comes in and takes a look later. So she did a really great job of sharing that, and that was in December of 2021, which was our last meeting that we had. And then Aaron, I know Aaron Passons came on and spoke with us about what Texas Health and Human Services was doing. And I couldn't remember if that was this year or if that was late in 2020. But I do a lot of work with Texas Health and Human Services, so I want to say thank you there in case that was the previous year. And then Chris Bunton came on with Texas Workforce Commission, and he's actually come on twice and shared with us the way they use their Tech Talk coffee breaks to really share how people inside of their agency are using Teams, as well as new features that are coming out. And he came on and shared some of that with us just a few months ago. I think it was back in the fall. And so I want to thank the agencies who participated, and I want to kind of put a call out there. I would love to have, as we move forward into 2022 in our new year, I'd love to have more agencies participate, and I'd love to have a monthly Stories from the Field session. And so I'll work with y'all to find interesting use cases, and it doesn't have to be anything big, just interesting use cases for Teams and how your agency is using that. And so we'll be, I will, if you want to just send me a Teams chat, you can send me an email, but I love to get Teams chats versus emails. If you have something that you'd like to share with us. So that would be great. And then something that we absolutely cannot go without recognizing is Billy Stevenson III. It's Billy time. And so those of you who are new, Billy was with one of our customers, one of our education customers, and he started sharing some awesome things that he and their university were doing with Teams. And we gave him his own session where I called it "It's Billy Time," which was I don't think I can. I think I can speak for everybody. I should say, yeah, love Billy exactly, Dina, and he is now a Microsoft employee. And so I actually talked to him during the Christmas holiday, and he's just doing great. And so we'll have to have Billy come back and join us and show us more cool stuff. So again, just really wanted to look back a little bit at some of the things that have happened. And then what I'd like to do now is really start talking about 2022 and where we're going. So there's a book, and I've mentioned it in the past, called Start with Why, a gentleman named Simon Sinek. And if you haven't read this book, I highly recommend it. And if you don't like to read or you just don't have time to read right now, then he has an overview on YouTube video, and it's been watched millions of times. It was his TED Talk that he did about this book. Really fantastic. And the whole concept of Start with Why is this thing called the Golden Circle. And the Golden Circle, it starts in the middle of the circle like a bullseye with why, and then there's what and how. And so I was thinking about where we wanted to go with 2022 and the Texas Teams community. And I really wanted to focus on the why of what we're doing and the work that we get to do. And this is just my thought on this. And so I know there's a lot of different reasons, different people have different whys. But one that I really thought is creating modern work practices and creating a modern working environment where you have great tools and you have the ability to collaborate with other people can really help agencies attract and retain the best talent. We know that when people are engaged in the work that they do, that they tend to stay longer. They tend to be more participatory in the work they do. They tend to invite friends to come and work where they work. And so it's this kind of whole, yeah, thank you, Keith. It's this whole kind of fortuitous cycle that perpetuates bringing good people into an organization and into an agency or into the city or what kind of institution you're working in. And I've seen some really great examples of how teams can be leveraged and modern work practices can be leveraged to improve the culture of an agency, of an organization. I had the opportunity to help the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation roll out a national program, and we use Teams to do that. And then I got to be on the debrief call, and they were sharing some with me about how they leverage Teams to really maintain and build their culture. They have a very strong culture there. And so I want to share more as we move forward with how can we build culture, leveraging modern work practices and teams, and then also to serve others. And by serve others, I really mean our coworkers, as well as the other agencies that we get to work with, cross-agency sharing. And then also, of course, our constituents or our students or our citizens or whatever the case it is, when you whatever you call the people that you get to work with through the work that you do at your organization. So that's kind of the why. And then the what, and this first part may raise a few eyebrows, especially if you're a boss, but work less. I had an opportunity to give a presentation about ways to leverage some of the automation capabilities built into Office 365. And what I found really interesting is that the COO of this large agency, part of one of their strategic initiatives was to have people work less hours. What we know from research that's been done, like the Microsoft Work Trend Index, which got published in March of 2021, and we just released another one about 2 weeks ago, is that people are working too many hours. They're burning out. Working from home can be challenging, can be kind of isolating. And so we want to try to get a little bit more work-life balance. And so we're going to focus a lot this year on how to achieve more work-life balance and get more done, but have less effort to get that work done. And so really embracing working with a team more effectively, and then also really rock hybrid work because we've all been doing hybrid work for a couple of years, but how do we take it to that next level? And how do we become more effective in the hybrid work that we do, and how do we become more happy? All of those things, again, it's this kind of fortuitous cycle. And so then the last thing, so you get your why, you have your what, and then you have your how. And so the how, as I was really thinking about this, there's a great book called Deep Work. There's also a podcast about deep work that was kind of introduction, and then it led me to read the book, really talking about the cognitive strain of multitasking. And there's not actually such a thing as multitasking, it's really task switching. But that when we are, if we don't allow ourselves time to have focused time, then we actually are not able to think as well. And if we are doing deep work, like working on a proposal or working on some complex task, and we just jump over real quick and look at our email, that actually takes up about the cognitive scientists studied, that takes about 20% of your cognitive capacity, your smarts, and it distracts it over here, spinning on the thing that you're trying not to think about. And it stays that way for about an hour. So if you think about, I'm just going to take a quick look at email while I'm working on this document, then try not to do that. And so increasing deep work is all around finding blocks of time, if this is the kind of work that you do, where you can actually really focus on what's going on. And we're going to work some on how to use the tools that you have to block off that time. Again, if that is role appropriate to what you do. The next thing is around streamlining the collaborative processes. Tiffany with TechStop showed us a lot of those things in her presentation on how they leverage teams and some of the document sharing and co-authoring capabilities. But we're going to go even deeper into that. And then we want to get into this thing that I really call getting to the next level, which is really integrating legacy applications as well as newer applications. And legacy can be like old VB6 applications or web-based applications that were written quite a long time ago. And a big challenge, and I've been working in public sector for about, gosh, I guess about 9 years now. A big challenge is that the legislature or whatever funding body gives your organization funding pays to have something written, but they don't really want to pay to have it rewritten. And so we end up with this kind of technical debt of legacy applications. But there are some very interesting ways that we can leverage modern work tools like Teams to integrate into these legacy apps, whether it's a web app or a Win32 app, a VB6 app. It could be an Access application. I know there's a little bit of that floating around out there. And how do we take this older app that may be really very cumbersome and manual to input information into, and maybe we have a kind of a cumbersome work process where maybe a fax comes in or an email comes in. You have to take that information and transfer it into one app and then transfer it into a different app. And so we're going to talk a lot about how do we integrate these work processes and how do we put automations into these work processes so that we don't have to do that manual input. That can really, one, decrease this sort of repetitive work that tends to get a little bit boring and can lead toward job dissatisfaction or burnout. But what it also does is decrease the possibility for kind of a human-induced error, accidentally copying and pasting something incorrectly or retyping something incorrectly. And then it also can really decrease the round trip time of certain business processes and functions. And so really eliminating as much as possible manual work. And this is absolutely not under the banner of workforce reduction. This is under the banner of doing more with less and serving our constituents better and creating happier employees and also dealing with some of this technical debt that we have. So that's kind of the why, the what, and the how. So I've been talking nonstop here for just a few. So let me pause for a second and see if anybody has any questions or thoughts around kind of that why, what, and how for 2022. And if you want to come off mute, you are welcome to, or if you want to put something in the chat, you're welcome to. I'm going to have a sip of coffee while we do that.
And I don't know if anybody notices, if any of my agency folks are in there, they all know I'm a Simon Sinek fanboy. And just, his stuff is really a good analysis of how work can be different and still at the same time increase our energy and actually cause us to be more effective and more efficient, and not just for ourselves, more importantly for our customers. And I think that's, I had a state, oh gosh, he was the executive director back at the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, and he said one day in an all-hands meeting that our job as state employees was to be good stewards of the public's trust. And us working from our why helps us meet that purpose. Because our purpose is a lot more than the widgets and or numbers and or products. It's how we serve our customer. That's the why. That's the big why. And the multitasking thing I also love because I'm becoming a certified trainer in the getting things done stuff. And I really like David Allen's book, Getting Things Done. It really helps, some of us who have that, I'd like to organize my brain a little better. Well, your brain's not really designed that way. And here's some tools to help you with it. So I love both Simon Sinek and David Allen.
That's awesome, Keith. Thank you. Yeah, I completely agree. The deep work, I'm I'll bring up my Audible over here. I tend to listen to my books as more than read. At the end of the day, believe it or not, I know I sort of come in hot every time here, and I've got a lot of energy. But boy, at the end of the day, when it's time to go to sleep, I go to sleep like pronto. And so I tend to not be able to read books at night. And the deep work was, let's see here, there it is. It's a guy named Cal Newport, Cal and then Newport, Cal Newport. It's available on audio, Kindle, all that kind of stuff. Thanks, Tina. Um, Another really super cool book that I read over the holidays is one called Culture Code, The Culture Code by Daniel Coyle. And let me see if I can grab a share link here. Nope. Yeah, The Culture Code. And that one is also available on Audible. And so I'll put some of these, try to pop some of these into the chat or send them out into the meeting link with the notes that I send out. But that was a really great book about being super on purpose with building a culture and how that culture can really lead to more work happiness. So we're getting a little closer to introducing our theme for 2022. We've got our why, our what, and our how. So I don't know if any of you have ever seen the Saturday Night Live skit that involved Will Ferrell and Christopher Walken.
More cowbell, more
So
cowbell.
we're going to watch a little bit of this, and you will understand why we're watching this, and you'll understand why I was playing that little bit of music earlier. So let's roll that beautiful bean footage, as the commercial said, and let's see what they say. Can y'all hear that?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I would watch the whole video, but I've watched it a lot of times, and I don't know that I want to take quite that much time of our call to watch the whole video, but I highly recommend it. So yeah, it is one of the funniest things I've ever seen. So I'm going to come back on camera to introduce the new theme here, and you might now, if you've seen Christopher Walken, you might recognize I did up my little Christopher Walken jacket here, and let me go to the next one. So the first song that we listened to as we were coming in is called One Tribe, and that was by the Black Eyed Peas. And so a little homage here to Will I Am. Got glasses going. So what I love about One Tribe is it really just talks about, that we're one people. We are, one group of Texans that are serving the citizens of Texas, whether we're doing that through our state agency, our city, educating our youth, just whatever the case might be. but really focusing on how do we work more effectively together. So that's the one tribe part. The next part is we need more cowbell. And so I actually, I just hear my dog. Got myself a little cowbell here. I'm not sure if that's coming in or out of focus because I can't really see with these glasses on. But I wear reading glasses, and these are not reading glasses. So we need some more cowbell. And so our theme for 2022 is one tribe with more cowbell. And that is what we're going to do. We are going to we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to bring more cowbell to each of our agencies, and we're going to learn how to work more effectively together to achieve more. And in theme, as anybody that was here last year might remember, I like to have my shirt theme for the year. So we had we don't need roads where we're going last year, and so this year got my peace symbol going. We got our cowbell going. And so we're going to have a lot of fun this year, and I hope y'all enjoyed last year. And so we're going to, my theme didn't work on my slide here. That's all right. So we are going to, also we're going to try a little bit of a new monthly agenda. And so it'll change some. But what I'd like to do is, we'll do our welcome, and we'd like to have a little bit of fun and just welcome everybody back to the call in the first few minutes and give our gratitudes. And then I want to do a Teams feature deep dive. So we're going to go in and deep dive into something in Teams and really try to get a little bit deeper in that and learn a little bit more about one of the capabilities, because so many times you can just sort of scratch the surface with what something can do. And so we're going to have a little bit of a deep dive on a new capability that just came out in just a few minutes. Then we're going to talk about Teams for hybrid work. And this is really, I was going to call that section Need More Cowbell. But so this is going to be focusing on how do we drive more efficiency in hybrid work and how do we leverage more of the capabilities. And then hopefully we will have and Keith will try to help me record all these sessions. And so then hopefully we'll have stories from the field on most of our months. And so I just really count on y'all. If you have something you want to share, then you can just message me to me, and I can help you put slides together or kind of organize the story. Obviously, we're not producing this professionally. We're a community of people working together here. So it doesn't need to be super fancy. And then have open discussion, because I think things always come out really nicely during the open discussion. And so, as always, we want to invite people to join the community interest list. I can see I need a little bit of work. I apparently have animations on my slide master, which doesn't really work out very well. And so if you are, if one of your peers is interested in joining, then you can just go to this link or point your camera to this QR code. I'm doing a better job managing our mailing list this year. I'm planning on automating it, but for right now, I've actually cleaned up the distribution list. I've invited people a couple of times that have been asked not to be invited anymore, and they had changed roles or something. And so I'm trying to do a little bit better job of that. So forgive me if you get invited and you have declined. So there's our interest list, and here's my full build. So let's dig in a little bit on a new capability that is coming to GCC. And I want to highlight also, this is a communications guide, a Teams feature communication guide. I talk about this every month that we get on. I believe in full transparency. And I have been very transparent with y'all that we are having a challenge with staying on schedule to what we publish in the roadmap. We meaning Microsoft, we meaning Teams engineering, our whole Office 365 engineering team. I'm not a person that believes in excuses. There's a lot of reasons. And so, but it's pretty unacceptable is what I would say, the way we are not able to very accurately say when something is coming. And so while I'm still going to have this available or, and feature the roadmap, what I would just say is that we're going to focus on what we have. as opposed to what's coming. There is so much that is already in Teams that we are not using, and I know that because I can see, like, based on the number of people that are using Teams as a platform, we're just really getting started with this. And so while I am always excited when new capabilities are coming, we're going to stay super focused on what we have today. And we're not going to get hyped up about something that might be out in a month and then all of a sudden we get disappointed. So you'll see a little bit of a transition in the amount of time I spend talking about what is going to be coming, because I've been disappointed. Y'all have been disappointed when something doesn't land when we thought it would. So we're going to dig in hard on what we have. But this will be in the PDF that I send out afterward, and it does. We did just update this. Stacy on my team, who just does yeoman's work on publishing this. This was just published on February 2nd. So it does have the latest. There are archives going all the way back to 2021 Q2, so the spring of 2021. And so you can go see those. And there are a ton of features that we've added. We just are not being able to do that with a high degree of accuracy with regard to timing. So what I want to focus on now is on find time. So let me see by, you can do a little thumb or a heart or whatever, if you have ever used find time. Got one heart there, a couple thumbs. So have you ever had the problem, and I know the answer to this, have you ever had the problem where you're trying to schedule a meeting and maybe there's someone you're trying to schedule it with outside of your organization, and you are trying to coordinate that effort? And so Find Time is a tool that was built for that, but it was not supported in GCC, the Government Community Cloud, which is the government version of Office 365. And it just got supported about 2 weeks ago. It has rolled out officially to GCC tenants worldwide. Now, Outlook add-ins, and this is what's called an Outlook add-in, have to be enabled. And it is possible that members of your IT organization, in an effort to secure the platform, have disabled Outlook add-ins or have not enabled the Find Time add-in. So what I did is I put a link here to, this is the admin center directions on how to enable Find Time. Now, this is going to be something that y'all will have to, your agency will have to decide if that's something that is going to be supported in your agency. I will tell you, it can really make things more efficient for scheduling. So what we're going to do, instead of me trying to do a big demo and come up with all of that, I found a really good YouTube video of how to use Find Time, and I'm going to let's watch that together. And he did a really good job of explaining how it's used and what it does and what the capabilities are. So let's watch that. Before I do that, does anybody have any questions before I kick off the video? All right, let's get it going.
Sorry, Mike. Oh, sorry.
Yes.
I
Please go ahead.
I was just going to say, I have one question. I was looking at the link that you had about managing add-ins, and it says that Outlook add-in installation is managed by a different process. So would Find Time count as an Outlook add-in installation that's under that different process?
Say that one more time for me, Star. Sorry. The last part.
In the document that you sent, there's a big purple note that's talking about Outlook add-in installation being managed by a different process than the admin center. And so is Find Time one of those add-ins that's managed by a different process?
That's a great question, Star. I think I mentioned that I'm just coming off a week of vacation. I don't know the answer to that. I don't think so because, well, let me put it this way. This link was sent out by one of my teammates specifically to Find Time. And so I think this is the way that you implement Find Time. And that said, Star, full transparency, I don't know the end. I don't know for sure. Let me look if anybody else is saying it.
I was going to say there was a couple questions, or at least one question, Bradley's question.
Yeah. Does it only work on the client or will it work on the web client? So that's a great question. And the answer is it works on the web client. And so when you go to schedule, and I actually just tried this, I have a GCC demo tenant. And so I went into Outlook Web Access in my GCC demo tenant, and the find time had been enabled in that demo tenant. And if I went into Outlook Web Access, then and you schedule an event, then there is you can use find time. Sorry, boy, that was difficult to get out. So the answer is yes, it works in the browser. Okay, and then in our tenant of Microsoft, we use the add-in to add find time to it. Okay, excellent. Thank you, Jennifer. I think that was Jennifer. Yep. Okay, so let me roll this. Now there's another video. I really like Kevin Stratvert. He does excellent videos. This video is about 10 minutes long, but I really think it's worth, actually I think it's about 5 minutes long. His is about 15 minutes long. He does a great job going into a lot of detail. So watch his too. All you have to do is go into YouTube and say just say find time, Microsoft Find Time. You'll see his video. All right, so let's watch this, and I'll just back it up just a skosh. So we got back to the very beginning. Yeah, so I have used Find Time, and it literally is as simple as the gentleman made it look. One thing to know about Find Time is you might have noticed it said where it blocks your calendar for the times that you sent out if you're the meeting organizer. So I sent somebody like 19 options one time, and it blocked all 19 of those on my calendar. So just when you schedule it, maybe just send them 3 or 5 or something. Otherwise, you can put a hold on most of your calendar. I was just trying to find any available time that I had to make it easy for the other person, but I ended up blocking everything on my calendar by doing it that way. And so then and you have to wait for the cycle to close unless you just cancel the meeting request. So just a little note of caution on that. Don't do too many of them. So any questions about Find Time in the video? I also put, you might have seen in the chat, the link to that longer video by Kevin Stratford on how to use Find Time as well. All right. And feel free to come off mute or raise your hand. Let's see. Was there anything there? There was a question about desk scheduling, and so there are some solutions from Microsoft around return to work. And so some of them involve using bookings and using bookings to book desks, like hoteling desks when you don't have an assigned desk, but you reserve a desk and you go in and work. That's okay. And there's a good article on that, and I can pop that in the chat. What I will say is it doesn't scale to our larger customers. So it just it gets a little bit clunky if you have too many rooms and desks that you're trying to schedule. Let me just get this to come up, and let's see. Okay, here I'm going to pop this, and these are not. This is not Microsoft created content. These are just links that I found. So here is a link on using bookings as room and desk planner. There is a lady that she has created a YouTube video on how to use Power Automate to do desk scheduling. And she even shares her code. I think she gives a link to the GitHub repository. I will find that. I wasn't able to locate it while I was while the video was showing. But you can create a really nice Power Automate solution to do that. And then, yeah, thank you, Shar. I completely agree. Power Automate is super cool, and we're about to talk a little bit more about that. And let me look. I have one more. Let's see. Give me just one moment here. I'm looking at my other screen. Oh, here we go. This is a return to work solution that was built on top of Dynamics. And so this web page has been updated. So there's some new content out here. And so this is solutions to empower flexible work. And this is a page with a whole lot of different articles and just different things that can be done to enable more hybrid work. So let me, yes.
We're still seeing the Find Time for Outlook video page.
Okay, thank you, Roxy. Yeah, I just hadn't changed it, but thank you very much for pointing that out in case it wasn't working properly. I did just drop a link in the chat to the technologies for hybrid and flexible work.
Okay.
So, yeah,
I hadn't seen it when you were talking about it.
And then there's some. Let's see.
It's here now.
Good. Okay, perfect. So the next thing I'd like to talk about, there's a couple solutions there, and what I'll do is I will go and I'll find the YouTube video of the lady that I was talking about, and I don't know if she works for Microsoft or she's just somebody that's has a lot of followers. Oh yeah, yeah, William, it was April Dunham. That's the one I'm talking about. She's really good. Let me see. Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Let me click this real quick and check and make sure that was the one I was thinking of, but I feel very confident. That's exactly the right one. Yeah, perfect. That's it, William. Thank you. That one's really good. And we're going to spend quite a bit of time this year talking about Power Platform. And so let's jump right in on that. So just to set a little bit of the stage on this, we had a big presentation a couple of weeks ago for one of our customers, and they were really looking for ways to optimize work processes. And when we really look at kind of where we were in the past, we really were very process centric. So we could have created whether it was an app or human based processes. And so it was all around really just trying to figure out the process and then create a process around that. And there were some tools that had been created, but they tended to be very expensive. And so I'm a huge fan of tools like Nintex and Black Pearl and workflow automation. SharePoint, going back to 2010, I think maybe even a little bit before that, had the SharePoint Designer and SharePoint Workflow that was built in, and you could do some nice workflows there. There were other things that were called RPA, robotic process automation, and there were RPA tools that you could use to integrate processes together. They were some of them were very powerful, but they also tended to be in some cases cost prohibitive, or they were just kind of expensive, and you could certainly show a return on investment. But when you're talking about a commercial sector business, if you're able to either create more widgets by improving processes, or you're able to decrease costs, or you're able to get more sales, then you can often cost justify something. Whereas for state agencies or entities that don't have the ability to create more money, it can be hard to procure a tool like that. And so what was happening, though, is we were seeing a little bit of this digital transformation happening, and then COVID hit, and then everybody went home. And a lot of processes that were using some tech and then some manual, some paper-based processes, like even things like employee onboarding, all of a sudden, all these people were working from home, and we were hiring people remotely, but they weren't coming into the office to be onboarded. And so we had a real breakdown in the ability to get things done because of the manual nature of some of these processes. So one of the things that Microsoft did is really lean in hard on capabilities to do automations and integrations. And so I want to talk a little bit about that today. And then we're going to have sections on that for each of the Texas Teams community calls about things that can be done. And we're going to really try to take we're going to definitely highlight some of the technology, but what we're not going to do is just PowerPoint you, like, hey, look at all these cool things on PowerPoint, but really show you solutions to specific things. And so what we might even do, William, is build out the Power App that April Dunham described and really gives the code to on how to do the desk booking and reservation system. So that might be a cool use case that we could do for next month, because that does most of the agencies that I work with have not gone back, or they've brought some of their workforce back, and most of them are not planning on ever bringing everybody back. So we're going to have more and more of a need for this. And then so the phase 3 really that we're in now that we're going into year 3 of COVID is really using this intelligent automation, but doing it at scale and doing it at a lower cost and really being much more people-centric. We had the Great Resignation, whatever. There's a lot of different buzzwords that are being used for that. But the gist of it is that there's a lot of people that are thinking about changing jobs or already have changed jobs, or there are people that have moved and are working remotely now. And then all of a sudden we start calling them back to work and they may not live there anymore. I know one of the leaders at one of the big agencies lives out east now, and there's no option to come back to the office. And so, how do we leverage the tools either that we have or things that could be lower cost to automate some of those processes? And there's quite a bit that we can do now. And so if we focus on kind of the more remote workers, the streamlined workforces, really higher citizen demand. We haven't really talked about that. We've been more talking about the internal need, but our customers have the same need for automations of processes. And so we're able to take, in some cases, like if someone, maybe they're submitting an invoice to an agency to be paid. Maybe that's a vendor, or maybe it's somebody submitting a required form. Then through some of these automations, we can take a 2-week turnaround and bring it down to literally hours. And so we can create a lot higher efficiency for our citizens. And so all of this is really around this whole goal of workforce optimization. And maybe there's some people in the world that just love to do like some sort of manual entry paper, repetitive paper-based process. But I don't think there's many that do, and certainly not many on this call. Hey, Chris, how you doing? I don't know if you need to turn your camera on, but hi.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, good. But the more that we can do to make the jobs easier for our workforce, the more we can retain them, and again create that culture where they're inviting their friends to come and work. Because there's a lot of people that have hair like mine, silver tsunami. So there's so many people that are eligible for retirement, and we need to not only keep them and have them happy in their work to stay, but then also be able to attract that next generation, that younger generation, to come and work for the state agencies. And so I don't want to drain this too much, because we really kind of talked about all of these things. The last thing I'll really say about this is that because it's fully integrated into what you already own in Active Directory and Office 365 security, the integration, you don't have to go out and find some new way to have your authentication or new way to create a secure connection. You're already doing all of that. So if we can use what you already have to do this versus going out and getting another solution, then it can make our environment more secure. And we're also not sending documents around or printing things out and moving them around. And that can create security just by the fact that it's all integrated into the same system. And so that's really what I wanted to kind of cover from the standpoint of just a little bit about what is Power Automate. And I know some of you are already using it and getting a lot of use out of it, but we're going to go into what it is more as the year goes on. But I have a really cool opportunity for y'all to learn a lot about Power Automate in a short amount of time and doing it in a hands-on way. So we are having what is called the Microsoft Teams App Camp. This is specifically targeted for state and local government. Now, if somebody else is wanting to attend, I'm not saying if you are with a city or a county or something like that, you can't go. I'm just saying so much of this kind of stuff that is built is for commercial sector customers. And this is specifically around state and local government. And we're going to focus on the capabilities that are in GCC. So there are Power Automate and Power Platform capabilities that are not available in GCC. And it really stinks when you watch a video or you hear about something or you read an article about something and then you find out that it won't work in GCC. So everything we're going to talk about will work in your environment. It's 2 days, Wednesday, March 9th and Thursday, March 10th. And it's for about 4 hours. And so it starts at 9 a.m. Central Time and it ends at 1. You don't have to attend both days. And so you can register for day 1 or day 2. They are not the same content. And so the link for day 2 is not working. Let me look and see if it's, I'll click it real quick and see if it works. Oh, you were so right. It took me to a Bing page. But I have it. Let me get it, put it in the chat, and I'll fix that. Thank you. Hey, give me just 1 second to open that up, and I'll drop it in there. Thank you for pointing it out to me. Is it Ileana? Yeah, there we go. So kind of what this is about is we're going to teach you how to develop and build an application in Microsoft Teams using Power Automate. So how do we bring those two together? And the way that we're going to show you is really reducing the time from your concept to deployment. And so using some best practices that are really efficient. And so we are, Roxy, we are going to record these and make them available. And so I'll put the recordings out on my Texas Teams community YouTube channel. And so you can go back and view it. But yes, we are going to be doing more of these hands-on type labs and focusing, as I said, more on Power Automate this year and kind of taking teams to the next level, because we're already using it. We're already using it for meetings. Now let's use it to make our work more efficient. Now I will say, this makes some people in IT very nervous, and for good reason. We all remember Microsoft Access. And if you have hair the color of mine, you probably remember something called Domino, Lotus Domino, which was this application development platform, and business users could create business apps. The problem is that then that business user would leave the organization, or they would retire, or they get hit by a bus, or they'd get to win the lottery. And so what ended up happening was you just started getting more and more and more of these apps. Same thing, like with Access. Same thing kind of happened with SharePoint. And so there are some very good tools, and we're going to talk about this in some of the sessions that we do, that enable your business users to create apps, but do it in a controlled way. And so we work with IT. It's called a Center of Excellence. So we work with IT to set that up, so that they can manage and monitor what apps are being created and have an approval process before they get rolled out. But then can also make sure that things like, you could create a solution, but it's tied to your user account. So if you leave, or you're storing the files in your OneDrive. So if you leave and your account gets disabled, then all of a sudden it won't work anymore. And so that is the problem that we run into. Sorry, I'm getting distracted by the chat. Yeah, there's no D before the number 2. Thank you, William. I just misspelled it. I typed it in wrong. And so we really have to, as cool as it is to develop solutions that are for your department or something, we got to take into account that maybe someday we won't be here, and we need that app not to break, and we need to just have a little bit of control around this. So there's lots of work that we can do. I see Darian's on the call. Darian is one of our customer success account managers, and there are workshops that we can put on that Darian and his team through your unified contract can do, that talk about kind of how to do this in a way that is not going to create future problems. So let me, okay. Yeah, thanks. William put the link to register for day 2 here. We are using the Microsoft Webinar capability to have those registration pages. Webinars is one of those things I've been talking to you guys for about months that keeps slipping, meaning it's not getting released for y'all to use in GCC. It's a point of very high frustration for myself and for my team, and I know it is for you. And so, but that registration page is the registration page from Microsoft Teams webinar. So we will have it someday, I promise, in GCC. I just can't say when, and that's frustrating. But just go and register, and all we need is your name, first name, last name, email address. And the way that it's going to work is you'll register, and then full transparency, we did one of these on the West Coast, and in order for you to have an environment that you can do your hands-on labs in, we set up like demo environments for y'all to work in. The way we did it for our West Coast, it's not going to work for the Central region and the East region. We're combining Central and East region together. And so we're figuring out how we're going to get you an environment that you can use. And we had meetings about it today, and we're getting close. We're going to send out, for everybody that registers, we're going to send you instructions on how to set up your environment. And we'll also show you how to do it at the beginning of the event. But we just don't want to take a whole bunch of time with that so that we can actually get into the content. So that is the Teams App Camp. And I'm very excited about that. We got very, very good feedback from the groups that attended the West Coast. And a lot of our customers started using Power Apps because of that and started to create some of these automations. So I hope that y'all can attend. We can support up to about 250 simultaneous participants in the event. And so go ahead, if you're thinking about getting registered, go ahead and get registered, but only register if it's something that you're interested in. And it's really, did I put that on there? Give me 1 second to go back to that previous one. Let me, I have an email template here. Let me just bring it up. Kind of who this is really focused towards. So ideal participants for this app camp are app developers, web developers, senior IT, and engineers. Participants will work hands-on within a lab environment that is separate from their work account and Enterprise Office 365 account. So you're not using your production environment at your work. And so that's important to note. And you'll receive pre-event information regarding access to the hands-on environment, and as I said. So if you're not a developer, a web developer, or a business process person, or senior IT or engineer, then while it would be cool, it's probably going to be, it might be a little bit deep for you. And so I am going to be supplying a lot of links to other kinds of training for how to use Power Automate, and there's some certifications in this. And so if that description is not you, then think about maybe not signing up, because it's no fun to be in there and be over your head. And know that we will be bringing more content to you outside of the app camp. So with that, let me go ahead and open it up for discussion. We can finish early, but I would love if there's anything that's going on that y'all want to talk about or answer questions about things we've talked about today. Yep, Jose.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine.
How are you doing, sir?
Yeah, doing great, Jose.
Awesome. So mine is more of a comment than question, although I do have a couple questions for you, but we can discuss that offline. You know how we always complain when Microsoft screws up? I do want to take this opportunity to actually tell you thank you and how grateful we are. You and Angel helped us with those MTRs. We just finished setting up 4 of 7 today. Let me tell you, people are really excited, and it's been great. I love those cameras. I love those speakers.
So if you don't know, MTR is the Teams meeting room. And so Jose is with, actually, I was giving you guys props earlier, Jose. He's with the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation, and they got some of the meeting rooms. Maybe, Jose, share a little bit more about what y'all did and what you got set up. And
well, I got to be honest, I wasn't there when they did we had a contractor doing the installation of all the equipment. I just went in there to configure those TAPS devices with the resources room and, give them a license for Teams and all that. But it was really simple, again, because of you and Angel provided information and guidance before we started this project. So I want to thank you for that, man, because it really made a difference knowing what we were dealing with. So again, thank you so much. You are great, and Angel too. I was hoping he would be here, but he's not.
Yeah, so those of you who don't know, we have a gentleman on our team. His name is Angel Levitas. And he is a modern work customer success manager with the communications specialization. So he really focuses on Teams for telephony, Teams meeting rooms, and he is super smart, and he has great links. So what I'll do is I'll plan on bringing him on for a session around Teams meeting rooms. And maybe, Jose, we could talk a little bit about just different approaches and talk a little bit about what y'all did. Yeah,
but like I said, it's really cool because it takes the technical side out of the person. Like someone comes in with a laptop, the laptop finds the meeting room right away. It connects to it, and everything is, they still, from the laptop they can still attend the meeting, but automatically takes their sound off. That way you don't get sound feedback and all that. So again, it's been a great. It's been taking a long time because all the equipment configuration and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's now that we got to the part where we're actually configuring the room, man, we're excited. So, like I said, I came into this meeting late because I was in the last building today, setting up the last one for today. We still have 3 more to go at the other building by the Capitol.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I just want, like I said, I just wanted to take this opportunity to to thank you and let you know that so far so good. Again, I do have a couple questions that we don't have to touch on that right now, but
Yeah,
we can.
and I probably will term to be fully transparent with you, Jose,
Yeah.
because Angel really is he's the brains.
Okay. Well, maybe I'll set up a meeting with him and you then, because it's more of a process. Like again, we don't have to answer the question, but the meeting room, the MT are supposed to leave the room when everyone leaves, and they're not. And there's a setting that there's a checkbox that you do, and we've done that. But the only time that it leaves the room is when we do a meet now. But when it's a scheduled meeting, it stays on the whole time until someone goes into the tabs and says end now.
Got you. Yeah, let's just
yeah.
throw a meeting together for you could use Find Time, and Angel and I, Angel Find Time a lot.
Okay.
And,
well, thank you, Michael. Once again, man, I'm really grateful for everything you guys do for us. So.
Excellent, Jose. Thank you. A couple of cool things that Jose was talking about is, so I did a meeting at the Microsoft office in, we have an older Microsoft hub. The original Microsoft hub is in one of the meeting rooms, but it doesn't have the true MTR Microsoft meeting room capabilities. And so when you use a Microsoft meeting room and you go in with your laptop, the room system and your laptop talk to each other. And so when you join the meeting in the meeting room, it mutes your microphone and your speaker, but it enables you to have your camera on. And that's a best practice because we really want to be able to see an individual's expressions versus just when you're looking. If you've ever been on the other side of a conference call and there's 10 people in the room, you can kind of see people and maybe you can see them pretty good, but it's a best practice for each person to have their video on. But what'll happen is if the room and the tech doesn't all work together, people are on, they got their speakers on, so you get a feedback loop. They have their microphone on, so you get a feedback loop. So all these things happen that just give a really janky user experience. And the certified Teams meeting room takes all that into account. You can even join from your phone, and you can use your phone as they call it there's a certain name for you actually use your phone during the meeting and you use it kind of like as a controller for the screen. And so it's a companion device. So there's some really cool stuff. And these solutions are not expensive, especially when we think about what things used to be like the Cisco, they call them tele something rooms. And they were like $100,000 each. So yeah, Bradley, if you go out to, I'll drop a link in the chat on where to go to look for this. Let's see, Teams. You want to get certified devices.
Yes, that makes a big difference, getting certified devices.
Okay, so here we go. Microsoft Teams across, okay, Teams groups. Okay, I'm going to send you a link to, okay, this one. Okay, great. This is the top level link for devices. And so this is going to have headsets, speakerphones, cameras, all of that kind of stuff. So if you buy things separately, then you can do it that way. But what it also has is one of the links on there is for Teams rooms. And so let me just share that screen. Are y'all seeing my screen?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
All right, perfect. So you've got the kind of work from home solutions, you have meeting room solutions, and so just kind of different types because there's a large variety of kinds of rooms. You can have a huddle room, which is just maybe for 3-4 people. You can have a medium conference room, a large conference room, and the way that you lay those out and configure them is different based on one, the technology that you have, but then also what you're trying to do. And there's some really optimum ways you can lay the room out. And so if you go in here into Teams room systems, then that's where it's going to have the information about the different certified devices. And so like this one, This is it's cameras, it's a control panel for the middle of the room, it's speakerphones, it's a sound bar, all of that kind of stuff. And so this one is $3,150. Here's one with a meeting bar and the screen. You may already have a big flat panel TV on the wall, and so all you need to do is connect into that and have cameras and a meeting bar. So you don't have to do a rip and replace of older systems, and you can even take, if you have some Crestron systems or Cisco systems or even Tandberg or Poly systems, things like that, then you can actually leverage what might even be, quote, legacy hardware. We have a partner called Pexip, P-E-X-I-P, that enables you to take those older devices and make them Teams endpoints. So you can invite them to a meeting so that the device knows about the meeting. So it's not like this super complicated join experience. So you can do that. And then if you have Cisco rooms, some of our customers already have invested quite a bit of money into Cisco hardware. Then Cisco sells a license to be able to integrate into Teams and have sort of the one-touch join experience and some of the things that Jose was talking about. So quite a bit out there. I'll invite Angel to come and give an overview of Teams rooms, because it definitely is a big part of creating a first-class experience for your remote attendees. And it seems, if you've ever been on the other end of where everybody else is in the room and you're on the outside, I did that for about 7 years. And so I was remote to all of my coworkers and my customers, and it stinks. And so the more we can do to give the remote attendees a first-class experience, it really helps people to feel more engaged, but it also, you get the best out of people if you are able to include them fully. The other thing, and if anybody in this call is from the HR side, unfortunately, the people who work remote tend to be some of the categories of people who have been discriminated against the most traditionally. And so we really want to be careful that we don't perpetuate that by giving a really lame remote attendee experience to our employees who work remotely. So there's all kinds of good reasons to not have a bad experience for remote attendees. So great, Jose, thank you for the compliment, and great questions. Anything else? Yeah, Bradley, really good for classrooms. I just saw your comment there. Jose, do you have your hand up again, or is your hand up from before?
Can you hear me? No, sorry,
yeah, I can.
My sound somehow it. I was going to add to that comment you said about having conference room. One cool thing we did, we have a building with five-story building. So we had one on the first floor, all the executive staff, and we were able to test having staff there and people on the fifth floor from a different division. So if our division director wants to have a meeting with all these folks that are in that office, all they have to do is come into the room, and everybody meets, through the MTRs. They join the same meeting, and you can have that conversation. You can still have people outside, come in and join the meeting. Mm-hmm. It was really cool because I think someone mentioned about the classrooms. We couldn't figure out a way how to do that. I don't know, maybe it's not available for us, but where you can have, if you're a teacher, and there's an overflow room, you can have that other room set up so people can go in there even though you're not there physically, but it's next to the other classroom. And they can hear you, they can even ask questions if they want to, kind of like that. But they're all watching the same screen and the same content, basically.
Yeah. So when you join a meeting that's in a meeting room from another meeting room, there are certain capabilities, and I just said everything I know about that. But being able to have access to that shared content that's going on in the main room, you definitely can do that. You can do shared whiteboards. There's also a thing called a content camera, which is a secondary camera, and they can be mounted on the ceiling, or they can be mounted in different ways. And the content camera can be pointing at the whiteboard. So if you have a physical whiteboard in the room and it's not a smart board, like I know at TDLR you'll have some of the smart boards, but if it's a kind of just a regular old whiteboard, then you could point the content camera at it, and not only will you then be able to see what's on the whiteboard, but it will change the contrast and the lighting so that you can see it really clearly. So there's lots of stuff that can be done. So I geek out on this stuff a little bit. I think it's pretty cool.
That's why I'm excited, man, because I'm geeking out. I got home really excited. I'm like, I gotta tell Michael.
No, I appreciate it.
I was driving back home. Like, I gotta tell Michael.
I want to come check it out because I know that.
Yeah. Well, you're invited. You're welcome to come to any of our 2 buildings and enjoy it.
I will. I'll take you up on that. What was was it? Randy was your innovation officer who had the big 30-foot whiteboard or 40-foot whiteboard?
Yes. Yeah. I didn't meet the guy. He apparently he left as soon as I got here. So, but yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yes.
I'm sure it had nothing to do with you joining.
I'm sure.
All right. So we'll bring in some more stuff about that. So I'm getting some good future topics. All right. Well, we'll give it just a few more seconds here. If anybody else has another topic you want to bring up or a question you want to throw into the chat. Otherwise, we'll give you a little bit of time back. Well, not that much. We've been going here. Okay, Andre.
Hi, Michael.
Hey.
Did you guys retire that App Studio and use the app portal to manage the apps?
Was that a question or a statement?
A question. I'm sorry.
Okay. No, because I wasn't aware of that. No, I don't think so. But I will say that we used to have to use the App Studio to like package up a custom app and then pin it to the left rail in Teams. Like you could do that with Learning Pathways, which was our kind of included with your subscription learning and training environment. We've made it a lot easier to do that now. So you sometimes don't have to use App Studio, but it does still exist. I think we've come out with newer approaches to that. And you'll learn about that in the App Camp if you want to attend the App Camp. And if you want to just ping me on Teams, then I have a specialist that works with us. He's great. His name is Pat Iafrato, and he knows all about the different ways that you can create and add apps into the environment.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So Rita asked, is MS Stream going away? So it's a great question. Kind of is sort of the answer. So we made a decision to make a transition from leveraging MS Stream as the default place where recorded meetings are stored. And we changed that to be OneDrive and SharePoint. So if it's a meeting, like I'm recording this meeting right now, and this is a meeting that I sent out. So this meeting recording will be in my OneDrive in a folder called Recordings in my business OneDrive. If it's a channel meeting, so if you go into a channel or if you go into your team's calendar and you schedule a meeting, you can associate that to a particular team and a particular channel. When you record a meeting that way, it gets stored in a recordings folder in the channel under the files area. If you still can leverage Stream to upload videos to, like, let's just say you do a recording and you upload it, because Stream is still going to be kind of the YouTube for the enterprise. What we just found, and I think this was the reason behind it, is that people were creating all these recordings and they were never really using, they were just sitting out there. And Stream was using our Azure Media Services cloud infrastructure for the hosting and all of that. And so what we've done is we have now added a lot more capability to make video a first-class citizen in OneDrive and in SharePoint, so that if you store your videos in SharePoint or OneDrive, the playback experience is getting a lot better, and the ability to index the videos and do the captioning for the videos, all of those things are getting much better and are going to become equivalent to what we had in Stream. If you want to use Stream to create enterprise, meaning your organization, to have, oh, maybe you have an HR channel where there's videos that your HR group creates and hosts. You can still do that. And so it's not going away with regard to that, as far as I know. That could change in the future, Rita, but that's the current roadmap. Did that get your question answered? Yeah, Keith, training video storage is a great place to put that for using Stream. You're welcome, Rita. Andre, did I answer your question? Is your hand still up? Sorry, this was decaf coffee. It wasn't caffeinated coffee. I probably should drink caffeinated coffee. I'm starting to fade here a little bit after getting in so late last night. Yeah, totally, Keith. So it's real easy to add a tab into a team, and you can use the stream tab or a website tab, and you can either just put the URL in of your stream channel, like your training channel, or you can use the stream tab and you can tailor it that way. But those are great ways to add the video content hosted in Stream into a Microsoft team. All right. Well, we are almost at the bottom of the hour. So we have time for one more question. If anybody else has a question.
Hey, Michael, this is Mark Leavenworth from DIR.
Hey, Mark.
I don't have a question, but I had a comment, and I'm sorry that I had to sign on late, so I missed the first part of the meeting, but I just wanted to say kudos on 3 years of Texas Teams community. And we at DIR are big fans of this group, and we appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mark. I really appreciate that. And so it is such a pleasure. And so, yeah, it's a great partnership. Thank you. Oh, where'd I go on vacation? So I took up kiteboarding about 6 years ago, and that's where it's like wakeboarding, but instead of being on a board behind a boat, you have a giant kite that you fly, and it pulls you across the water at a very high rate of speed. So I took up kiteboarding about 6 years ago, and I went to I go down to Baja, which is in Mexico, and down on the Sea of Cortez, there's this little town called La Ventana. It's a really cool. Yeah, there you go. It's a really cool. It used to be a fishing village, and it's grown quite a bit, but it's one of the best kiteboarding spots in the world. But it's really low key, and you can just go and get a little street taco right there, and it still costs you like, I think a taco is $1.25. Really, really delicious tacos. So that's what I did. I went kiteboarding in Baja. A lot of fun, and I did not injure myself, so that was good.
Yeah, nice. And I would have probably hurt myself multiple times.
I'm not saying I didn't get jerked around a little bit, but yeah, when you hit the water wrong, I felt a year ago I was down in South Padre because of COVID instead of going into Mexico, and I was just kiting along, and all of a sudden it felt like Hulk Hogan had just snuck up on me and picked me up, and threw me down on the water. It was crazy how fast it happened, and yes, Kathy, it hurt quite a bit. I just sort of laid there and flopped around for a little while like a fish. But it was a good time. All right, y'all. Everybody have a great evening. Look forward to next month. We'll have some guests in next month. Thanks, Keith. Yep, that's exactly how it felt. Y'all take care and know that I'm available for you. Hit me up on Teams. Don't send me an email, and I will chat with you soon. Bye.